Oh, yes, it is Anthony Rivera here with you, talking about all the news and happenings surrounding that team from Queens, the New York Mets. It's a Subway to Shea series preview as the New York Mets get set to welcome in the Arizona Diamondbacks for a 4-game series. And a lot of things going on with the Mets right now, a lot of not good things. We have talked about that on the live stream last night with my guest Dexter Henry. You can watch that on the YouTube page by going and subscribing and liking the video like it says below. Follow the Subway to Shea podcast on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Subway to Shea. Follow me, Anthony Rivera, on X at AntRivera86, and subscribe to Subway to Shea on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. So you could check out that live stream we did last night talking about the Edwin Diaz injury, talking about the Pete Alonso injury, talking about this Jorge Lopez incident. We only kind of broke the news with the chat and talked about that for a while. You can check that out there. There's more information that's come out so far since then. You can check out also our conversation about Darryl Strawberry because they are honoring Darryl Strawberry during this series on Saturday. He will have his number 18 retired. So you can make sure to check out that live stream on the Subway to Shea YouTube page. We're going to get into this series, this 4-game set that the Mets get ready to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks for. But first, I always like to recap the previous series, and it was not a good one against the Los Angeles Dodgers. The New York Mets were swept by the Dodgers 3 games. Mets in game 1, they blew another save, losing 10, 5-2. Tyler McGill, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 0 runs, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts. To me, that's one of his best performances of his entire career as a Met. I liked what I saw from Tyler McGill, and hopefully he can build off of that as the season goes on. The Mets got only one piece of offense from Francisco Lindor, who hit a 2-run home run in the 3rd. That was all that they got when it came to runs in that game, because you go to the bottom of the top of the 9th, Adam Ottavino blew the save. Jorge Lopez gave up 3 runs in the 10th inning. You go to game 2, and the Mets of that doubleheader, because it was a doubleheader, they missed out on Monday with the rain out, but the doubleheader, losing game 1. After that blown game in game 1, the Mets were absolutely lifeless in game 2 and got shut out 3-0. Gavin Stone, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. He was masterful against the Mets offense. And then you have Jose Quintana on the other side for us, 6 innings pitched, 8 hits, 3 runs, 3 of them earned, 0 walks, 3 strikeouts, and he gave up 2 home runs. So the Mets were kind of lifeless in that game. We've seen that a lot this season, and it's something that has been haunting this team for the entire season, and they just can't seem to get out of their own way, especially on offense, which has been inconsistent to say the least. Game 3, the Mets had a late inning bullpen meltdown that kind of finished off the sweep for the Dodgers. David Peterson made his return after that hip surgery. 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. I thought he pitched well for his first start back, especially against this high-powered Dodgers offense. It was nice to see him pitch well, and hopefully, like Tyler McGill, he also builds off of that. Tomas Nido gave up hit a 2-run home run, and JD Martinez had an RBI double. That was it for the Mets. That was their 3 runs, because in the top of the 8th inning, Adam Ottavino and Jorge Lopez each gave up 6 earned runs. And we all see, as you can see, not only in this picture, but the whole incident that transpired with Jorge Lopez getting ejected from the game and throwing his glove into the stands, then doubling down on the comments that he made about throwing the glove into the stands. The Mets took that to heart, Cohen and Stearns, and they have, and it's not been official yet, but they will be designating, as of right now, be designating Jorge Lopez for assignment. It's not been good, folks. I'll tell you that. This Met team, like I said, looks lifeless. They had a closed-door meeting, the players and Carlos Mendoza, and I don't know how much more this roster can do with the meetings and Stern saying he believes in them, and Cohen saying he believes in them, because they just haven't delivered. They played Don't Stop Believing in the clubhouse, and then proceeded to lose and get swept by the Dodgers. So, and even when they do win games and they do these big comebacks, like on Sunday, the comeback in the bottom of the ninth with Bader and Narvaez. You talk about the Nimmo game where he came back and hit a home run after hurting his side. And then you talk about the Francisco Lindor game. You talk about Mark Vientos game. Every time that they've had a big game, they have not been able to build momentum, and they just keep on losing, and not just losing. They're losing in excruciating fashion, and it's tough to watch, tough to see, and we're only at the end of May. I mean, we're only at the end of May, and all these frustrations have boiled over. I don't know what it is. I talked about it with Dexter Henry, that there may be some issues in the clubhouse, maybe some problems. You could check out some of my shorts that I created and posted on Instagram and TikTok talking about that with Dexter. That's out there. And I don't know. I really don't know where this team goes from here. I've already started making my list of trade deadline candidates and how I can make content on this, because it's hard to believe in this group and in this players, and you want to believe in them, but they have not shown you any resiliency, and it's been frustrating to see. But we have to move on, right? We have to put the day and that series past us and move on to this 4-game set with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So let's look at the tail of the tape for both teams. New York Mets 22-33, fourth in the NL East. Arizona Diamondbacks also not playing well this season, 25-30, also fourth in their division in the NL West. And both teams are coming in on a 3-game losing streak. The offense, the batting average, and the OPS for the Diamondbacks way better, batting 243 to the Mets 232, have a 696 OPS compared to the Mets 674. The Mets have them on home runs, 58 home runs to 48 home runs, 10 more home runs than the Diamondbacks. You look at the RBIs, and that's where the Diamondbacks lead there, 234 to the Mets 216. The Mets have them on stolen bases. The Diamondbacks don't really steal bases. 39 stolen bases for the Mets, 25 stolen bases for the Arizona Diamondbacks. You look at the pitching, ERA, Mets better, even though they've been struggling, especially with this bullpen. The rotation has been very solid as of late. It's funny, now that the rotation is solid, now that you're getting length from some of these pitchers, you're starting to see more 6-inning games, more 7-inning games. Now that that's all gone down, the bullpen has struggled. So, you can't have it, any way with this Mets where they're consistent altogether. So they have a 4.12 ERA right now, but the Diamondbacks have a 4.27. And then when it looks at strikeouts, the Mets have 487 strikeouts to the Diamondbacks 412. So they have them on that as well. But you look at the walks, still 227 walks by the Mets. That's been killer for this pitching staff, to the 157 from the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Mets have an opportunity here to take advantage of this Arizona Diamondbacks team. If they want to change the narrative, if they want to turn things around, this Mets team has the opportunity to take care of business against Arizona. I don't think it's going to happen, and I say that because we have not seen this team be resilient this season, last season, at the end of 2022, stemming all the way back to that Braves series. And you can even go back even a little further into that September month. So look, we talked about it during the San Francisco series, right? That first series of the homestand, that this was a huge homestand for the Mets, and they have fumbled the ball, right? They are 1-5 in this homestand so far against the Giants, against the Dodgers, and now they have this 4-game set with the National League champions last year, who are struggling coming into this series, struggling just as much as the Mets are. Only 5 games out of 500, where the Mets are, I think it is, they're 11 games under 500 right now. So this is a big opportunity for the Mets. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. And I know a lot of Met fans, I know you guys don't believe that the Mets are going to turn this around. But if there's any opportunity for the Mets to gain some ground And for the Mets to better their record, it is against this struggling Arizona Diamondbacks team because they are really struggling. The pitching probables, the pitching matchups don't favor the Mets as much. But let's take a look at them. Christian Scott going in game one. He's 0-2, hasn't had his first career win yet. 3.97 ERA, had a really good start last time out against Zach Gallen. 5-4, 3.12 ERA. We know what Gallen is. That pretty much the ace of that staff, and he is a really good pitcher that the Mets could struggle against. You got Luis Severino in game two, 2-2 with a 3.22 ERA, going up against Jordan Montgomery, 3-2 with a 4.69 ERA. We know the Mets struggle against lefties. That brings us to game three. Shea 3-1 with a 3.16 ERA against Blake Walston. Hasn't had a win yet this season, but he's got a 2.16 ERA. Another lefty to watch out for. And then you got Tyler McGill off of his best start, as I mentioned, 0-2, 1.69 ERA against Brandon Pfaadt, 2-4 with a 4.16 ERA. What's the matchup I'm looking forward to the most here? It's probably going to be Christian Scott against Zach Gallen in the first game of the series, seeing if Christian Scott can continue his momentum. But this is a big series for this entire rotation, right? Not only for Christian Scott trying to get his first win of the season, as along with Tyler McGill, who's also trying to solidify his spot in the rotation, but you also have Luis Severino and Shea because you need those two pitchers, whether they win or not, whether the Mets win those games or not. Luis Severino and Shea need to continue to pitch well. And I say that because if the Mets do decide to sell at the trade deadline, these are two key cogs that could be moved at the trade deadline. To see Luis Severino, Shea pitch very well to up their trade value, as well as seeing Tyler McGill and Christian Scott pitching well to solidify their spots in this rotation for the future. Now, I want to get to the matchups to watch out for the Mets. Francisco Lindor against Jordan Montgomery in game two, 545 batting average, 1 home run, 1 RBI, 1.615 OPS in 11 at-bats. It's going to be an important game for Lindor to continue. He seems to have been hitting better in the leadoff spot, and hopefully that will also propel him going up against Jordan Montgomery. We go to the Diamondbacks, and there are two for the Diamondbacks against Shea. Ketel Marte, 320 batting average, 1 home run, 2 RBIs, and an 890 OPS in 25 at-bats against Shea. And then Randall Grichuk, 357 batting average, 2 home runs, 2 RBIs, 1.400 OPS in 14 at-bats against Shea. So when Shea is pitching, these are the two, Ketel Marte and Randall Grichuk, that you're going to have to watch out for when it comes to facing this Mets, pitching staff, or at least pitching against facing Shea. You look at players to watch from Arizona. Christian Walker, 7 for his last 20, 2 doubles, an RBI, 2 runs, 1 walk, and a 350 batting average, and an 831 OPS in his last 5 games. On offense, you go to the pitching, and the player to watch for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and let me fix this real quick. There we go. The pitcher to watch out for is... Oh, wrong one. Pitcher is Blake Walston. A 0 ERA, 1.07 whip, 4.2 innings pitched in his last start, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. It says 3 2/3 innings pitched, but it really should say 4 2/3 innings pitched. I made a little error on that one there, and there we go. 4 2/3 innings pitched for for Blake Walston, and he's a lefty, so the Mets are going to have some troubles against the lefties in this game. I wouldn't be shocked at all, especially against a guy that they have not seen before in Blake Walston. Let's see how the Mets do and if they can solve Blake Walston. We go to who's ripe and who's rotten on this Mets team right now, and we go with the offense. Who's ripe? Starling Marte, 286 batting average, 1 home run, 1 RBI, 1 walk, and 833 OPS in his last 6 games. Who's rotten? Jeff McNeil, .43 batting average, 1 RBI, 1 walk, and a .407 OPS in his last 6 games. The dude is struggling, has been struggling all season long, and you're starting to hear a lot of the let's trade Jeff McNeil. It's time to move on from Jeff McNeil. He's done. So, Jeff McNeil right now struggling and having a hard time trying to help this team turn the corner. Who's ripe in the pitching staff? We talked about him. Tyler McGill. He's pitching game 4. He has a 0 ERA, 0.57 whip in 7 innings pitched. And then you look at who is rotten from this pitching staff. Adam Ottavino right now, 0-1, 19.29 ERA, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 home run, 1 walk, 3 Ks in his last 2 1/3 innings pitched. He's cost the Met the game on Monday, blowing the save. He cost them the game he cost them game 1 on Tuesday of the doubleheader, and then he cost them on Wednesday in the 8th inning. So Adam Ottavino has got to get his stuff together because he's really, really struggling right now. But that's going to wrap up this Subway to Shea series preview. I appreciate everyone for tuning in, everyone for watching. If you haven't watched and you want to listen to the audio form, this will be up shortly as well on the audio format, which is Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And make sure you're subscribing to Subway to Shea on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Subway to Shea. You can follow me at Ant Rivera on X at Ant Rivera 86. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Make sure to get this video a like. Make sure, if you like it, also share it with other people because this video will get out and everyone can see this preview before the game gets started tonight. I appreciate every one of you for tuning in. For Anthony Rivera, this has been a Subway to Shea series preview.
This is a Willets Point Shea Stadium bound 7 express train. The next and last stop is Willets Point Shea Stadium.